Sorry, I just sat back down. One more time. Now I appear to be having the issue you did earlier of the capture device just being like, no signal from a PS3. Are you crazy? This is why I don't like whatever hell Apple software I'm using.
Oh, now it's coming through the desktop audio as well. Are you guys hearing my voice echo, like, in the stream? Because I can hear my own microphone coming through my headset, which I think is coming
Right.
from this.
Yeah, I hope that's not my microphone. Let me put in some headphones and see if I can fix that for you.
I don't think it's yours, because it sounds like my quality whenever I record myself. No, if I mute myself. No. Whoops. Now, muting myself would completely mute the microphone. No echo on the stream itself. Okay, I guess I'll start to look at that. I don't know if you were able to hear me at first, but very far away from the mic. I'm sitting right in front of it, unless it's just picking up the wrong one. Oh, audio is turned down. That's why. Okay. All right. How's that? Is that better? All right. How about that? Is that working any better? Thank you. Yes, and I think the echo on my side's gone as well. Oh, hello, Sosmog. Welcome to chat. Yeah, back at it again with more Battle Chip Challenge. No damage run. What we're gonna do today is, well, grind for chips and hopefully be able to actually, get past Gutsman. Don't know if we're gonna be able to do that tonight or next time, but we're just gonna go with what we got.
Are you streaming on YouTube or Twitch?
YouTube.
Okay, because I was gonna say there should be a function to like co-stream with each other, but I think that's just with Twitch.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. haven't quite moved our operations to Twitch yet because most of our following is here on YouTube. So the subscribers will get the notifications whenever we go live and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I doubt there's a single person that that knows. I doubt there's a single person on my YouTube channel that follows me on Twitch. That being said, I guess having a little bit of, or like being familiar with making content seemed to lend itself pretty easily to have people follow you on Twitch, because I know some people that struggle to get into like double digits of Twitch followers. And I have some friends, I'm not going to name any names, that are like actively trying to become streamers. And I stream like once in a blue moon, like once every like 6 months or so, and I have more followers than they do, and they're like actively trying. And I don't know what there is to that, if anything.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Gavin is trying Advance Wars. Nice, nice. Click the video.
Oh, Advance Wars?
Yeah, he's playing Advance Wars right now. I think he's about to duck out of the stream. That's fine. Let me see.
Yeah, I've been very curious about that series as a Fire Emblem fan, of course, because it's the same dev team.
Oh, I was unaware of that. That's cool. That's cool. Click the video, went live, played a YouTube video from me. That's interesting. I don't know why I did that. And I don't know why I am getting hit so easily this time. Like, the strategy worked last time, didn't it? Alright, so the reason that we're doing a co-op stream tonight is we both just got back from the same convention. It was Comic-Con over in Birmingham, Alabama, and we just wanted to kind of chat about our weekend and just hang out in general, because it's been a while since we've done a Discord call. I think last time we did was after... No, it wasn't Rise of the Beast. It's when we tried to do Master Duel, but we were getting a whole lot of interference. Oh, Gavin is sticking around. Pretty good so far. Impressed with what way forward you're able to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed the game. I myself did pick up the Fire Emblem for Game Boy Advance. Played it on the Switch Online the other month at this point. Got busy and put it down for a little bit. I need to pick it back up and finish it.
Yeah, it's a great place to start with the series.
Yes, yes. All right. So, what was your thoughts on Comic-Con this past weekend?
Hold on just a second. Let me get my stream going as well.
Yeah. You did you figure out the capture issue?
All right, you should have the go live notification from me.
I don't think I've got it yet. And it should pop up in a little bit, but I'm probably not going to be able to pay attention to your chat because I'm working on my own game over here. So.
Oh yeah, that's fine, and vice versa. We'll just have to tell each other, hey, pause real quick so I can catch up with my chat, and vice versa. All right, I may cause a really quick feedback loop here. Okay, we're safe. Good. I didn't screw ourselves over with a what do you call it? Feedback loop.
I think I'm about to get hit by Number Man. That is kind of embarrassing because he only has like 2 attacks during this tournament. Yeah, I just got hit by Number Man. Reset. That's the reason I picked the first tournament to grind, and I have no other option. But it's like... He's supposed to be easy. Like, he forgot to equip his battle chips. He has a single cannon, but his built-in attack attacks your entire lineup of battle chips you selected for that turn. So that means that he can like destroy all of them in one go, like he just did, and that includes my guard chip, even though the guard blocked it. You know what? I'm a change out one or two chips for the next turn.
All right, almost there. Just bear with me.
You say you were playing War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron?
I am playing Fall of Cybertron now.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
actually the been meaning to tell you the Dark of the Moon video is like 40% done. So there's no reason I can't go ahead and start getting footage for Fall of Cybertron. Um, the part of the Dark of the Moon video I'm working on right now is like going through each individual level and figuring out how to break down that level. But massive spoilers for that video and for that game. There's only 7 levels in that game,
Wow.
whereas War for Cybertron had 10. So it's quite a bit shorter and ends pretty abruptly with a lot of the characters not getting a lot of gameplay time or screen time.
Right. Sosmog says, I'm going to say I do not like Battle Chip Challenge. I don't blame you. The majority of the Battle Network fandom actually doesn't. I think this is a nice novelty, and I'm just doing this challenge because, as far as I know, no one else has done it yet. So I gotta be the first. And Master Chief Snake is in the chat. Hello there. Let's see. Swap that.
I love that the URL still shows the old stream description. Wonderful. All right, so on that note, I think we're ready to begin. Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing over here on my end is just going through a clean run of Fall of Cybertron on normal, and I'm actually going to do 2 full runs of this game for the video because I had to, as you know, though, you know the story about my Xbox 360 suddenly not working, and
Then suddenly deciding it does work, just out of nowhere.
yeah, so I had to get the PS3 copy of this game, and without what makes Fall of Cybertron interesting and different compared to War for Cybertron is that War for Cybertron is a very traditional like 7th gen shooter where weapons are placed by the developers in predetermined places throughout the map.
Yeah.
And so they kind of plan for you to have specific weapons at specific places at certain levels, whereas Fall of Cybertron has weapon upgrades, and it has these terminals where you can adjust your loadout mid-level. So theoretically, you can have, on a subsequent playthrough, if you've unlocked every weapon, unlocked every upgrade, you can have a wildly different loadout than on your first run, which also makes the game's hard difficulty very different, because if I recall correctly, yeah, I think War for Cybertron also just had easy, medium, hard, which was kind of strange for 7th gen shooters. They mostly had 4 difficulties.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, the difficulty in Fall of Cybertron is balanced around your very first clean run with no weapon upgrades being balanced around normal difficulty, and your second playthrough where you have all the weapons unlocked is balanced around hard difficulty. And so I wanted to do a normal difficulty run on the PS3 version and a hard difficulty run on the Xbox 360 version where I have everything unlocked. And that's my thought process going into this.
Makes sense. I do think it's good to get multiple playthroughs, especially in between different consoles when talking about a game, even if it is functionally the same. Sometimes something as simple as the type of controller can change the experience entirely. So I'm absolutely down for that.
And in the 7th gen, performance and graphical fidelity was a lot more variable between Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of the same game, especially early on, because the PS3 was notoriously difficult to develop for. So there are a lot of instances where a Xbox 360 version of a game may run better, even though the PS3 you could argue was a more powerful console. Whereas we get to eighth generation PS4, Xbox One, and every game looks completely identical. There is zero meaningful difference in performance.
Makes sense to me. Here we go. About to get our
This game
first.
also has such a banger opening. It has like this really bassy menu theme as soon as the game opens up. Have you ever actually played it?
I have not. My brother owns both games, but I haven't got around to play them yet. Really want to though, eventually. I mean, like my local
Yeah,
game
well, if
store probably
watching,
has them, so I can probably just go pick them up at some point.
yeah, I wouldn't overpay for them, but if they're as much as like $40, that's probably worth it though. I'll say that. But yeah, hopefully me talking about War for Cybertron for an hour in my video of it hyped you up enough to want to play that one.
Oh, absolutely. Sosmog says that they want to record a video, but they have a bad cough. Yeah, I know how that goes. You know, my condolences to you. Get some nice hot drinks. Take some cough syrup if you need to. You know, focus on feeling better. Xbox is now just a game streaming box. Yeah, that's kind of the way it feels. You know, especially with the talk about Microsoft going, digital only, which is one of the worst things you can do. And the PS5 actually wasn't one of the Xboxes recently released like this gen strictly digital. I know one of the versions of the PS5 was.
I think so. God, I have so much to say on this. um, yeah, first of all, yeah, I totally know that feeling of like you get sick and then your plans to record are completely ruined.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's what happens when you rely on your voice so much. But uh, yeah. So there's this rumor or this press release thing that's going around right now that's talking about Microsoft is going to be moving all of their console exclusives to other platforms. And maybe this is just based on nothing. It's completely speculative, and maybe it's just doomerism. But my theory is that this current Xbox was such an abject failure that it will be the final Xbox, and they will not do consoles anymore. That Microsoft will just be a developer and not a what's the word? Not release, not have their own console similar to Sega.
Yeah. I mean, they had a good run. I mean, they got what three console generations in the modern market, or would you call it four? Like, would you count the series of Xboxes as different from the Xbox One?
Yeah, because they do technically have a different games library. But if if High Five Rush comes to PlayStation, then I literally have I'm not kidding, zero incentive to buy the current Xbox.
I mean, I don't have incentive to upgrade past my Xbox One currently, nor do I have incentive to get a PS5.
I mean, I don't really. I have more of an incentive to get a PS5, but I still don't want one anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only other reason to want to get an Xbox Series whatever would be to play the more optimal version of the worst Halo game. So it's like,
Halo 5?
why bother?
You're not in the mood to deal with that tonight, are you?
What'd they say?
No, you said the worst Halo game. I said Halo 5, and you went quiet for a little bit.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, we've had that conversation before, so.
No, it's funny. I was I was streaming Doom the other night, right? And
Yeah, I got the notification for that, but wasn't able to pop in there.
I was I was streaming Doom the other night, and when I got done, I was like looking around on my Xbox One and other games were on there, and I boot up Halo 5 just briefly, and I start playing just a random level or whatever, and I'm you're gonna hate this, but I said to myself, I'm like, man, this game is so tight. Like, I hate that Halo 5 gets such a bad rap because like gameplay wise and like performance, that game is fucking tight. And I didn't even hate the story. I just hate that it was that it relied on so much established lore to make any sense.
I'm not a fan of the art style. Like, I'm not a fan of 343's art, starting art direction for the Halo universe. To me, it looks ugly. It looks very ugly. The hunters look good, but the elites, the grunts, brutes not as much because we didn't get to see a lot of them in 4 and 5. I don't think. All right, let me catch up on my chat real quick while I'm bullying Number Man. Let's see. Xbox been pushing for all digital since late Xbox One. I believe it. Microsoft might be the end of the Xbox era like Sega did. Yes. I see we're talking about the Xbox rumor, hoping we get Hi-Fi Rush and Dead Rising 3 on PS4. Yeah, like, I would love for Dead Rising 3 to, and, heck, I'd be fine with the Halo games if they wanted to come over here to the PlayStation. Series X and S did not sell well. I believe it because it's basically just a souped up Xbox One. And when your Xbox One can still play all the current gen disc games and a lot of the digital ones, there's really no incentive to upgrade.
Yeah, the ninth gen has so many problems that it would take hours to unpack.
Yeah, but
And
that's not what tonight's stream is about. So
yeah, I kind of want to spend some time unpacking it because I've told you I have another idea for a super duper long video essay similar to the cosplay one where I talk about uh my journey through game collecting, and that will ultimately like result in the discussion of why the ninth gen sucks, and I kind of have this very cynical, boomer ass mindset of all of the games that I will ever care about already exist.
but when it is that way, though,
Like every once in a while we get surprised, and like in spite of my cynicism, like nobody can deny that even though the lows were low, the highs were extremely high with 2023, and that some of my cynicism is like subjective, where like there are games I know are objectively great. Like people are absolute freaks about Baldur's Gate 3. Like people are so obsessed with that game, and I can see why. It's everything that should be celebrated about a modern game. Like it's a complete package.
Yeah, it was
no live service elements. It runs great. It's rich on content, and
it was such an objectively high quality game that other game studios told them to chill and said you need to make your game your game worse so you don't make us look bad.
It's exactly right. And but I mean, I just don't think I will ever play it because the only console it'll ever be on is PS5. Maybe I will in the hypothetical future one day if I get a PS5. But
somebody gives you a PS5
will...
and all the games that you want with it, so you don't have to spend your own money on it.
What's that?
So somebody just gifts you a PS5 and all the games you want for it, so you don't have to spend money on it. That hypothetical future.
Yeah, I guess, or if they make like a slim model that is has a bigger hard drive and is cheaper or something like that.
I really wish that I could trade Navi chips to a chip trader to get more chips, because with all the grinding I'm doing, I'm going to max out the number of normal Navi V2 chips that I have. Alright, time to go roll the gacha. Let's see what we got. This was actually technically my first gacha experience, this game right here, because instead of walking into a shop and being like, hey, I want that battle chip, instead it's, hey, chips are random. You want one chip or do you want 10? And if you get, if you order 10, you are guaranteed to get a higher level one. So it's literally a gacha back before mobile game gachas were a thing.
What you just made me realize is that by that logic, my first one was Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, like having to grind the match results of a match like a million times to get the good cards to actually beat the game.
Yeah, I mean, at least in this case, this one is like actual or not real world money, but it's in-game currency instead of being like RNG from a drop, But I still have to grind in order to get money for it. So let's see what we got. What I need is another heat balloon, preferably a Mag Bomb 1 and a Zapring 1 because I just need them for their stun ability. Oh, hey
Did not
Rio.
mean to do that.
Uh, Rio's dropping by to say to wish best of luck. May the gacha be blessed. Let's hope. Here we go. All right. Aqua Ball. Okay, that's a good one, but I don't need it currently. Wrecker, also good. Another Elect Ball. I need a Heat Ball. Please. Zapring 1, that's good. I need that. Yes, another hit. I got all three balloon ships in one go. That's rare. Because like I spent like an hour last stream just banging my head against the wall. And I got 2 cannonballs too. That's good. That's really good.
You're neck deep in the gambler's crack den now.
I still don't even want to admit how much I spent on Fate Grand Order trying to get the version of Artoria that's dressed up like Darth Maul. I don't even want to admit how much. Mostly because I
don't know if these enemies are ever going to stop coming.
You get ambushed by Decepticons over there? Oh yeah.
Well, it was like this big standoff, and I'm like, are these enemies going to stop spawning eventually?
Yeah. Thank you, Rio, for your blessing. Right. Let's see. Yeah, 8 normal Navi V2 chips. I don't need any. I need 1 of them. I need exactly 1. All right. Let's see. Heat balloon goes into the folder. Get rid of the heat shot. See, the reason I needed 2 heat balloons is because one of the bosses that was giving me trouble last stream, his best attacks are fire elemented, and if I'm using heat balloon, it absorbs all of the fire damage and does nothing to me. Have I explained the mechanics of this game to you before, like how the base setup for the combat works?
I believe so, but if you want to go through it real quick, that's fine.
Why does Zapring 1 cost the same megabytes as Zapring 2 for 40 less attack power? It's got more HP, but... Okay, so rather than just having battle chips and just fighting each other on the grid like regular Battle Network style, it's a... you set up a command deck, and then it's randomized what chips are selected, and it goes through like a snake pattern, and it's random which chips will get selected, but you set your deck up with 9 total battle chips to use in a given pool, on the base gameplay. Then it has a branching path, and then it'll select one of the first 2. Then from there, it has another branching path. It will select one of the next 2, and then it has a final branching path where it selects another one of the next 2. But there's 9 total. It's like a tournament bracket kind of looking deal. It's like one of those looks like. It's like that in reverse is how it selects battle chips. And
gotcha.
One thing that you can do is attack your enemy's command deck with certain battle chips and attacks to where you can destroy their chips so that they can't use them. And Turbo Man, he is packing some heavy-duty fire battle chips and heat balloon. The balloon battle chips, they act as a damage sponge. You set a balloon up in front of you, and it absorbs all the damage coming your way. If it doesn't pop, you fire it back for just as much damage as it absorbed. And because he has primarily fire-based attacks, Heat Balloon will absorb all of that and return to sender with no risk of it popping, because it never actually took damage. So, these are really good for fighting him. But then I gotta worry about Gutsman, because they decided to give Gutsman guard-breaking attributes in this game, when he doesn't have them in the other games. So it's like, I stroll up in there feeling good about myself, then all of a sudden he just punches right through my guard, and he's like, you thought.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
And I love having to power cycle the capture device again, because I'm once again not getting any game audio.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, I was having that problem a second ago with the PS3. I was going to try to play Beast Wars. For some reason, it wouldn't give me the audio. All right. Okay. Let me catch up on chat real quick. Hi-Fi Rush didn't and Dead Rising 3. Okay, yeah, that Japanese consoles from Nintendo and Sony PlayStation might be superior from Xbox because Xbox and Microsoft are from the USA. That's not a definitive factor, but it is generally gaming content that comes from Japan is more well made. So it's because they just do it better over there.
I mean, that's oversimplifying it. Obviously,
but it's not always wrong.
Yeah, I mean because like the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 were honestly pretty solid. All right, I have a waveform now. We're good. I mean, obviously the Xbox 360 had the Red Ring of Death or whatever, but the PS3 also has a known hardware failure. Base model PS4s had hardware failures. Like, there's not been this much of a like perceptible difference between the consoles until now. And I would argue that I mean, a lot of people are not even happy with the Switch either, because there's a lot of games that, by virtue of like the need to for them to sell, are getting like these botched Switch ports that like barely look like anything. I think Mortal Kombat 1 is a great example of that, where it's like the Switch version looks absolutely horrendous because it's meant to be a port compared to the uh what do you call it? It's meant to be a port to be coexist with the PS5 and Xbox Series ports. Um, there's also a lot of people that complain about like a lot of PC ports of console games are just horribly unoptimized now because they're having to make a game that can theoretically function on all these different radically different systems with different performance levels.
Okay.
I don't really have a dog in the race with that whole thing, but that is apparently what is happening. Also, Mega Master in chat saying, "Man, 12-year-old me never knew how Battleship Challenge had such an interesting gameplay mechanic."
Who's Mega Master? Do I know them?
That's Jonathan.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
He was at the con with me.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you had a chance to meet him or not, or talk to him.
We've talked before. He will defend Prismalia.
True. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we've met a couple times. All right. Okay. So rest of my chat. Capcom made a deal with Xbox to bring Capcom's games to Xbox consoles, like Dead Rising, Steel Battalion. X-Dive prequel is real. Oh yeah. In regards to the fact that Battleship Challenge has the gacha, and X-Dive was a gacha hell mobile game. We got every Dead Rising game on PS4 except for Dead Rising 3. Yeah, it's like they did. Dead Rising 1 and 2 were on Xbox and PS3. Then Dead Rising 3 was a Xbox One and PC exclusive. And then we got Dead Rising 4, universally. Rumor about Capcom will reboot the franchise for Dead Rising as a revival. Yeah, I've heard that too. And honestly, I'd be down for it because I love me some Dead Rising. Frank West is a boss. But I'd be fine if they even want to do a sequel, like Dead Rising 5, and give it to the guy from the movie Dead Rising Watchtower, because he actually held his own pretty well in that movie. Batman Arkham Knight is 100% proof of that as well. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's talking about
a bad port.
Yeah, bad port. Yes, yes. Mortal Kombat 1 is a half sequel, half reboot. PC version of Arkham Knights was disaster, ported to bugs and glitches. Talking about the Switch port, super bad, yes. And then even older games like Knights of the Old Republic, while I did enjoy my playthrough of them, they're riddled with bugs. Like, I have a bunch of clips. Like, I showed you the one where my character literally just up and died after I beat the final boss. Just mid-cutscene, my character kills over dead. And yeah, I showed you that. I'm like, well, thanks a lot, Darth Malik. You bored me to death. Like, how else am I supposed to take that? There is MegaMan in the Dead Rising series. Yes, there is. And, that's actually my conspiracy theory brain working again. Capcom Multiverse, where Resident Evil, Dead Rising, and MegaMan all exist in some swirling, vortex of a multiverse somewhere, somehow.
I'd like to extend that to the to other Capcom games as well. Like,
we're ignoring...
maybe I can.
Go ahead.
There's probably some crackpot theory I can come up with that will make Okami canon with Sengoku Basara, because they did have like a mobile game crossover.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're ignoring the obvious multiverse stuff with like Marvel vs. Capcom. Didn't you know that happened? Malik is just that good. Yeah, right. Like, maybe he used his Force Life Essence Drain, and like while my guard was down, thinking that he was defeated, he's just like, "I'm gonna steal your soul right out your body. You're just gonna kill over. Take that, Revan."
Yeah, and again, you'll have to forgive my cynicism here because I promise this is like this comes from a good place. It's like um the whole thing with Microsoft is like I'm kind of glad that they are throwing in the towel at this point because they did all this bullshit that like just hurt themselves in the industry. Like they bought all these studios and they bought all these companies for the sake of exclusivity for the Xbox. Like they bought Bethesda of all people, and they have like forced all these Bethesda owned studios to make these games that are well outside of their wheelhouse, caused so many developers to lose their jobs, and they just spent all this money, all this exclusivity, and they're like, we give up. It didn't work. We lost too much money. Now there's no more Xbox exclusives ever. There's no more Xbox at all. And I just find that like deeply sad, but also like almost necessary in a way. Mega Master again. Project X Zone is the best example of across universe continuity, which I know you're a fan of those games. I never got around to playing them.
The thing that bothers me is that Project Cross Zone has prequel games that were never released in English, so I don't know what the story leading into it is. Oh, whoops. Drop something. No, it's like Project Cross Zone simultaneously has too much story and practically no story at all. Like, the story it has that is original, it doesn't matter. Like, we as players do not care about the original characters. We care about all of our favorite characters who are being represented in the crossover form. I bought the game because I had Mega Man X and Zero, and that was one of my first exposures to the fantastic Frank West, and that's what led to me cosplaying him. That's the snowball effect there. So, and it gets really convoluted at times, obviously because it's a multiverse crossover game. Of course it does, but I really need to play Dead Rising, or not Dead Rising, Project Cross Zone 2. I bought that game specifically to do a Let's Play live stream on it, but I haven't got around to it yet. I haven't, so I probably should. You know. And I finally found my capture card DS, so I really don't have that big of an excuse. Let's move this down here. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Engage. Alright, get a Project Cross Zone trilogy or something. Well, we got two at least. Apparently Dead Rising is an alternate IP franchise to Resident Evil due to being made by Capcom, but it's got zombies instead. I remember Devil May Cry started off as a kind of sort of Resident Evil sequel, and then that got a little separated into its own thing.
Yeah, the game that is DMC 1 was originally being developed as Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
Which is very funny considering how both Devil May Cry 1 and the actual Resident Evil 4 are like extremely well beloved games.
Yeah. That Mega Man Game Boy Repro card saves. Okay, that's good. Mine doesn't for whatever reason. I guess I just got the bad one, but they broadcast on the auction site that it does save properly. Mine didn't, but oh well. Those games are short. I can finish them in one sitting. Creator of Resident Evil left Bethesda Tango Gameworks after he made Hi-Fi Rush. Play Resident Evil remake. You liked it. Namco Cross Capcom fan translation isn't good from what he's heard, so that's been dissuading. Okay, let's see. But yeah, I have the crackpot theory that there is a Capcom multiverse out there because Dead Rising has Mega Man cameos from like multiple series. Mega Man Legends has references to classic Mega Man and Resident Evil more than once. Battle Network has references to Mega Man Legends and the classic series, and I'm sure there are other references here and there scattered around, but those are just the ones I know off the top of my head. So I'm fairly certain that there is some kind of multiverse somewhere in here.
Yeah, I just like when developers use a lot of self-referential humor, because like I think there's a lot of game series where you could argue, oh, this is a direct reference to their previous game and it must mean they're related, but other times it's like they just love leaving Easter eggs in their previous games in there.
Oh yeah,
both are good, but I just, as long as the self-referential humor is not like the entire plot, then I think it's cute. I think it just shows it's like there for the people that really um, care about the unique um, tastes of the developers and like the unique little characteristics they put into their games. Bungie was actually really good about that for a while. Now you actually could argue that they were going for a extended universe thing where Pathways into Darkness is canon with Marathon, and there are indications that Marathon was meant to be canon with Halo,
Yeah,
but that never panned out.
I've heard speculation that the ending of Halo 3 was actually supposed to be the beginning of Marathon, because you start as a space marine stranded on some random planet with an AI in your head, and that's how it starts.
Correct,
So,
but it would have to be like hundreds and hundreds of years later. Whoops, that's not good.
I mean, Chief could have been asleep that whole time, and Cortana would have been extremely rampant by the time that happened.
Yeah, but the AI in Marathon is not in you. It's always somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Um, except for, well, it's a long story, but yeah, because Durandal starts off as the ship's AI. Um, but you're right, he is rampant, but it's more likely that uh before they thought of the whole like before like the Forerunner books were written, that the idea of a great hero that's like basically reincarnated in different time periods to be a like hero archetype character was going to be a canon element of like runs through Pathways into Darkness, Marathon, and Halo, because in um in Pathways into Darkness you are this like unnamed protagonist who saw all of this like ancient alien stuff, and there's like this idea where it's like, oh, the government would never let you be properly buried, blah blah blah. And it's like when you in Marathon, when you woke up on the ship, the idea of going in guns blazing and nothing but a pistol against an alien race felt oddly familiar to you. And so it's like basically canon that the Mjolnir Recon number 54 that you play as in Marathon is the same, literally the same character as in Pathways into Darkness. But there's a line from 343 Guilty Spark in Halo 1 where he's like, when they're about to activate the Halo rings, he's like, last time what you asked me, if it were my choice, would I do it? And he's like, well, Reclaimer, my answer has not changed. And it's like, what do you mean? Why would he have any familiarity with you? And in Halo's actual canon, we know that that's because um, uh, Guilty Spark cannot differentiate between Chief as like a different person than the ancient Reclaimer. But like when Halo 1 was the only canon that existed, there's a chance that that was meant to be like, oh, well, what if he's just the hero archetype character re-explored in this new continuity after Marathon?
Yeah. Maybe it's a Kingdom Hearts situation to where they're all separate worlds with a world border thing that isn't as prevalent. Just like Cliffy B, who used to make the Gears of War series, did play Gears of War 4 and he liked it. Okay. I had something, but I don't remember what it was. Alright, so you ready to talk about the con this past weekend, or do you want to keep chatting about Halo and other stuff?
Oh yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
We got off on several massive tangents there, but yeah, we can talk about the con.
Alright, so dog's barking outside for some reason. She does this sometimes. Alright, so how was your weekend at the con?
Overall, it was great. I have pretty much zero complaints. I talked about this a little bit on the Doom stream, but it went great. I think the only things that I was surprised by and disappointed by, is how the host hotel has been remodeled, and it's really kind of enshittified the process of getting from your room to the con. And anyone who's a massive nerd, who's a cosplayer, knows this, but like, if you can help it, you really don't want to have to interact with normies.
Correct.
And there was the normiest normies in the lobby of this hotel because it was there for some kind of party for some like some kind of banquet for a political party. And so there's a bunch of old fucks there in suits getting ready to have I should clarify, old white fucks in suits getting ready to have this party. And I'm just like, oh dear, they're going to think we're the like biggest freaks ever and like say some really unkind things about us. And my friends that were with, they were like, let's just speed run our way back to the to the room and not have to deal with these people. But that had nothing to do with really the con itself. I mean, you're always going to deal with, you know, other people that are not there as part of the con, regardless of what con you're at, what venue you're at. But I just did not appreciate how um, I don't know if you remember from 2018 when we stayed there, but the way that they have blocked off the main lobby of the hotel when going back and forth between your room is just, I just don't understand the purpose of it, and it made getting around a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it's like you used to be able to cut through that one side, and you could like walk past subway. Like there's a couple of stairs you can go up and down, and if you go from the outside of the building, you can see that the staircase is right there, but it's like right in front of your face. But the doorway is locked from the outside, so they just blocked it off. I don't know how long that's been that way. I don't know if it's just for the event or what, but it was very frustrating because you had to take the long way around. It was in some cases it was honestly faster to go outside the building, like out the front door, and just walk down a little bit. But you know,
That's exactly right. And like
I don't like going
Michelle and the
outside. So
girls who were with me, you know, I was trying to be like, oh yeah, I know my way in and out of this hotel. I've been going to this con for years. And then we get there, and they're like,
traffic's
"Where are
different.
you going?" And I'm like, you know, that's a great question, honestly, because I thought I knew my way around this venue, and then they just changed it on me at the last minute. Because like the way that I was going into the what I thought was the lobby was the correct way under the old setup, but it just didn't it just didn't feel like it was anymore because of the way they blocked off that wall.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, the only other thing, a minor complaint, is it doesn't seem like they have nailed a way um to queue up the line for the dealer's room, and I think a lot of people were frustrated by this. Is like they responsibly try to keep that hallway clear and queue everybody up, but the way that the line zigzags is just arbitrary, and a lot of times it ends up bleeding together at the back end of it, where people are just crossing over each other and just going in anyway.
Yeah.
And there doesn't appear to be an easy fix for that. Um, so
Sosmog
great
asks, who
great
throws?
fun here from Mega Master. He's like, the Sheraton didn't feel like sharing.
Yeah, change his name. It's no longer the Share-a-ton.
Yeah,
Sosmog
the
says,
Hogaton.
right? Sosmog asks, who throws an event at a hotel? Well, it's not that the con was being held at a hotel specifically. The hotel is connected directly to the convention center. So it's like right there. Like you don't even have to like leave the building if you didn't want to. You could just walk back through the entire structure back to your room. But there have been some cons that held their entire event in a hotel. But it's like it's not like your typical like motel or Holiday Inn or anything. It's like a big bougie hotel that's got like conference halls and things like that. So it's
Yeah, that
that's
same thing
typically how
applies
it
for
works.
the political party thing because you know there are designated like banquet halls specifically for those types of things. So
Yeah.
it was, you know, from their perspective, a good place to have it.
Not this weekend, it wasn't.
Yeah, little did they know their bougie ass event would be met with a bunch of freaks and weirdos.
All right. Me personally, and it has almost nothing to do with the con itself, but I think this was sincerely my worst Comic Con weekend that I've had so far. Like,
Oh yeah,
Kami itself. Now, the weekend I stayed, the time I stayed with y'all, that time, it was also a bad weekend, but it had nothing to do with the con or the room situation. It had everything to do with getting there. So, back in
yeah.
2018, I am on my way there. I'm about an hour away from my house, and then my car breaks down when I stop for gas. It's like I pull in the gas station, I, pump my gas, get myself a snack for the road. David, I can't tell if that says Edels or Eddies. It's kind of hard to tell. For some reason, the text on this computer doesn't look very sharp. But David asks, what kind of con was it? It was an anime con. Good stuff. But so it's like, I'm at the gas station, and then turn the key, car won't start. And then it's like, the longer I keep it turned, I start smelling burning plastic, and there's like puffs of smoke coming from under the hood. So I have to wait to get a tow truck to tow me back to my house, and then I have to go buy a starter, and then I have to replace the starter, and then I can drive to the con. You remember, I didn't get there till the first day was already basically over. And
yeah, it was like, was it? Because I think that year I got there Thursday night, so it was like, what, Friday afternoon when you got there?
It was like Friday evening, Friday night. It was like 6 or 7 by the time I pulled up.
And then you had the crayons in your lightsaber incident.
Yes, yeah, that's something that I never talked about like on stream before. But it's like you guys know I have all those lightsabers. I make videos about them a lot, and I have a bunch of videos on my personal channel that have like hundreds of thousands of views of me just goofing around with lightsabers. Because they want to laugh at the fat guy who's a nerd who's playing with lightsabers, but that's all well and good. But it's like they have detachable blades, and crap, I forgot to change my battle chips. They have detachable blades, and one of them that I needed for the weekend, it's been in my trunk for months. It had crayons stuffed down the entire length of the blade, like all like 32-inch blade, like crayons shoved side by side, 2x2 down the entire way. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, who would do that? Why would they do that? When did they have the opportunity to do that? I'm just completely like...
That situation just baffled me so much because I was like, surely there's got to be like some small child that you or a family member has around that would do this, because like I just don't get it, like how else it would happen.
I don't either, and like the opportunity to do so is the biggest part that I was confused about, because people don't go into my trunk. So
yeah, that's like a very specific kind of griefing that like...
It's like someone did that on purpose, and like Bree says she thinks she might have done it as a joke, not thinking that it would be that bad, but she can't confirm whether she did or not. She legit doesn't remember. And how does that happen? Did you do it when you were drunk? I don't drink, so no, that can't be a thing.
And neither does she.
No, she doesn't. It doesn't taste good. But, like, I don't think it was her either, because we were only dating at the time. We weren't married, so we didn't live together. So and bear in mind, it was a long-distance relationship. She lived, like 3 hours away from me. We would meet, like, halfway to have our dates. So she wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so. She would not have been alone.
Watch when she gets home, she's going to be like, look, I have a confession to make. It was me. Like,
this whole time, while
6 years later.
But so yeah, that was like very bad start to my weekend. I literally had to break the tip off of one of them, and it took part of the actual shaft of the blade with it, I think. No, that's a different blade that I broke a different time. No, I had to take the tip of the blade off, and then I had to bum some crazy glue from somebody to put it back on. I think it was a cosplay repair station the next day, because it was part of the costume I was doing. I was a control freak from Teen Titans. You remember that one. But yeah, so I got the crayons out, and that just made my already bad day that much worse. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm done for the day. But this year, while nothing like that specific incident happened, it was just a cluster bomb of frustration just trying to get there. Because it started off, there was a miscommunication about the hotel. The hotel does indeed have breakfast, but it's a pay breakfast. It's not complimentary like all the hotels that I stay at. I wasn't the one who booked the hotel this time, so I wasn't in control of everything. Granted, it was nice to be able to walk back and forth from the con to the room. That was really good. But then, when we got to the hotel, they slapped on, like, they gave us an itemized receipt, and then they slapped on some additional charges that they didn't tell us about. Like, I think one of them was called tourist fee? Like, what the heck is that even?
Yo, no way they did that. That's so shitty.
I'll have to double check to, like, get the charges, but Funny you mentioned that, Sir Isaac. You think of the Craggle? Like, Brie and I literally watched a Lego movie last night. Fantastic movie. That's the movie we should have watched on our first date, but we didn't. Because I wanted to watch Liam Neeson in nonstop instead, when I could have watched Liam Neeson in the Lego movie. My favorite
That's like
live
some
action actor, by the way.
that reminds me of like Ticketmaster, how they're literally just making shit up to charge you with.
Right? So, oh, whoops. Okay. But so, yeah, there was that. So, we were already stressed out before we even got there. My Friday was kind of chill, but then Saturday, I told you I lost a button to my lightsaber, my Darth Maul lightsaber, the one that I have been so excited for. I already lost one tiny piece at AWA, and I had a replacement part for it I just didn't put on yet. Like, I had to make one. And then I lost one of the buttons early Saturday, and I know it was in that hall somewhere between where we were hanging out Saturday morning and then the next room over where they were having, like, the live shows and all that. Because I have a picture of me in that hall before we were talking with the button still on. So it fell on the ground and disappeared into the void.
Yeah.
So I was bummed out because I'm like, I don't know if I can get replacement parts for this. Ultra Sabers doesn't really answer on weekends. And then, so I'm bummed out about that. Spent a lot of time looking around for it. And then later in the day, we lost a piece to Bree's Eda bag, which had Celeste from Animal Crossing, like as a detachable faceplate. And that bag was built by an independent artist, and they don't sell that bag anymore, so getting replacements for that is even harder. So
Yeah.
that just ruined my entire weekend, because I'm over here just steaming about losing valuable things, or things that I perceive as valuable. It's like, Bree wasn't, after the fact, she wasn't too upset, because she's like, it's just materialistic things, and I'm like, but it makes you happy, and I want to see you happy. I don't like things that make you not happy. So, and it frustrates me more, because given the time of when the attachment to her bag disappeared, and us getting, like, we all saw it. It fell off of her bag. We picked it up, we put it back on the bag, got in the elevator, went downstairs, stepped out of the elevator, noticed, hey, it's not there anymore. We go back up to where we were, it's nowhere on the ground. So the only two options are, because it's so thin, it might have fallen off of her bag and fell in between the crack in the floor and the elevator, down the elevator shaft. Or it fell on the ground after we got it, like, as we were getting on the elevator, someone picked it up and walked off with it and stole it. Those are the only two logical options of what could have happened there. Like, I legitimately called the con center and asked them, hey, next time you happen to get someone in that elevator shaft for maintenance, can you check to see if this is there? And they said they'd call me back. I am not holding my breath for it, though, but it's just, that ruined my weekend because it was just consistently frustrating, combined with the con itself not being super extraordinary to me. Like, meeting Kari Wahlgren, voice actress who played the best English dub of Saber, that was fantastic. She was great. Her panel was great. And the like, foam fighting tournament that they had was fun. For those in the chat who don't know what that is, if you play Kingdom Hearts 2, struggle, like, while you're in Twilight Town, that, but IRL. And it's also, like, you can do 1v1 or you can do team deathmatch. If dodgeball was a melee sport, that we had that event at the con, it was so fantastic, so fun. And I did not pull muscle
anybody that should be familiar with, like, LARPing in general should be familiar with the types of, like, foam weapons they use.
Yes. So it was pretty much that, and that was fun. But the rest of the con just didn't really have a lot to offer me, like, tailored to my specific needs. Which, that is not to disrespect the con, because the con is not tailored for me; it's tailored for the greater audience. But Kami just hasn't been quite as much fun for me the last couple of years. It's still a very special con for me because that's where Brie and I met. That's where I proposed to her 7 years ago, actually. And then she actually pulled a fast one on me this year. And on Saturday, she did an homage to the way I proposed to her. And she gave me a new silicone wedding band that I can actually wear to work. Because my actual wedding ring is tungsten. And I have broken 2 of them by accidentally dropping it on restaurant floors. So she got me.
Yikes!
She got me a custom-made silicone wedding band that I can actually wear to work. And whenever I have my other wedding ring and I'm not at work, I'll wear that one on the left hand. I'll wear the silicone one on the right hand. But she basically pulled the exact same thing that I did, just not in the same place. So that helped make the weekend a little more special. But the con itself just wasn't as exciting for me this time.
We can do that.
Another thing that, like, this is going to sound very elitist, but I feel like some parts of the con are becoming a bit too normie-centric. I know that has nothing to do with the fact that we had that political party in there, but it's like the live wrestling thing. While wrestling is its own niche fandom, it's much more normie aligned than like the LARPing foam fighting was. And like that's something that as a football player, as a former football player in high school, you could talk about wrestling in the field house and people will talk about it with you. If I talked about like games or anime, I get made fun of. You know, I get laughed out of there. But it's like wrestling, it is a niche interest and hobby, but it is more normie accessible. And at the closing ceremonies, when they're talking about guests for next year, someone recommended getting the Alabama football coach as a guest because he's retired now, and the con happens to take place like near-ish to Tuscaloosa, and everyone just let out a collective groan, and Ray is just like, no, we're not doing this. And it's like, I respect Ray for just immediately shutting it down, but it's like the normies are creeping in.
Yeah. So I can I interject a little bit there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I slightly disagree that wrestling is not nerdy because in my subjective experience, there is not much that separates somebody that's a fan of gaming versus somebody that's a fan of like WWE. They are very much cut from the same cloth, and the way that people talk about wrestlers is literally the same way they talk about like watching Game of Thrones or something like that. Like it's very much the same. It is more spectator entertainment than it is like than like football is, in my opinion. But that's just a matter of taste, I think, as far as like whether or not one of those is more nerdy than the rest of the content of the con. I'm glad that Raymond shut that down because
that would have killed the con if they had done that. Like that con is dead. If that was the case.
I don't think there would be a bunch of people showing up to the con to meet this football coach, but like
I think
Birmingham,
I think there would be
Birmingham, and this is also like my limited subjective experience with knowing some Alabama locals but not living there, is that the entire economy of Birmingham is just fueled by football anyway. So the nerds that do live there are probably sick of hearing about it. They're probably like, oh, the last thing I want is more damn football at this anime con. And like,
yeah,
Alexander Shannara being a guest there was more of a meme than anything, and he took that in his stride. He did a great job.
Of course, you got the Ace Attorney crossover just because there's a popular video game about lawyers, so of course the memes are plentiful there. And
yeah, and like
some now weatherman, like James something, some weather guy was a guest one year. Some guy I don't care about. You know.
He was like a weather reporter.
James something. James Spann, I think was his name.
Interesting.
Yeah, some meteorologist, but I will say.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mind like Alexander Shannara though, because like that was kind of just was a shit post, but he did such an honest job with it too, and I think there were a lot of people who were asking him like legitimate legal questions, and he was very happy to answer. So, I wouldn't mind if he came back. I'd actually probably would talk to him now.
Yeah. Now that we're actual tax-paying adults, but the counterpoint to the whole thing of they treat wrestling kind of like Game of Thrones, I would say you could talk about wrestlers the same way you could talk about popular football players. Like, it's more in line with sports. And while it is, like, it's all scripted, whether or not people want to admit that it is, and there is, like, stories and arcs that happen, it's still, like, live action. And it's, like, filmed live events kind of thing. So people could view it as a sporting event. And a lot of people do treat it as a sporting event. So it's not that it's necessarily not nerdy. The words I used were normie accessible. Like, I mean, you can talk with literally anybody about this who happen to be interested in it. And again, it is more closely aligned with, like, sports fans than it is with fans who watch, like, Star Trek or what have you when they were younger.
Yeah, I guess it is. If you had to put them on like a spectrum, you would uh Jonathan clarifying once again, the guy who was a guest there as Alabama's most famous meteorologist. Um, but if you had to put them on a spectrum, like obviously wrestling would be more normie than something like Star Trek, but just for comparison's sake, again, like there are a lot of former WWE stars that are guests at Dragon Con. Dragon Con has a lot of wrestling tracks. It has its own, semi-pro wrestling events you can spectate there. Um, I honestly feel like, and again, like the way that wrestling is commercialized, like the wrestlers are not just people; they're characters. Um, the somebody like the Undertaker or John Cena is as much of a fictional character as like Doctor Who or a Marvel superhero. And if you look at the way that this stuff is marketed, like kids buy and play with WWE action figures just like they do. Like those are marketed and sold in the exact same way that like superhero action figures are,
That's a
and they're
fair
very
point
popular.
because I don't doubt that they existed at one point, but I can't tell you the last time I saw like NFL or college league football action figures.
Yeah.
I don't doubt they exist, but I can't remember the last time I saw one at Walmart. So
Yeah, they're
that's
not
a
they're
fair
not
point.
nearly as prolific as the WWE action figures.
Let me catch up chat. See that Smash Bros. Ultimate got the Sora Amiibo support added. About time. And isn't that the last Amiibo that they're doing for that? Um, Sosmog says they found a old educational game console, and it acts like a creepypasta. That sounds hilarious. I want to see. I want to see like pictures of that.
I
Eh,
love that. It's like, yeah, this is a game console I found behind a dumpster at the last Kmart in my town before it shut down.
yeah. And then baseball is what most anime use for their sports episode. Even NT Warrior had one, and even JoJo's Bizarre Adventure had a baseball episode too. Soccer is another popular one that I see a lot in anime. Well,
But yeah,
safe travels, Master Chief Snake. Careful out there. Drivers be crazy. All right, I'm gonna do one more grind on this tournament, and then I'm gonna roll the gotcha once more, and then I will give the next tournament another attempt. Just because I'm not confident enough at the moment, but I am willing to. I will feel confident enough after this round. So.
but yeah, I could definitely see what you mean as far as like, hey, the emphasis on like wrestling stuff didn't appeal to me in specific. It didn't appeal to my interests, and I would have liked to have seen more content at this con that was something I personally cared about.
Yeah.
But
That's not to say that
uh
I didn't
but
find.
I just disagree with the
Yeah,
notion
right.
that it's not nerdy.
I mean, if you want to break it down, sports can be considered very nerdy as well because people will know like all the stats. Like stereotypical men, especially in the South, will know like all the sports scores, how many yards this player has, how many passes they made in whatever year, who was the coach, who was the towel boy's pet goldfish, and yet they can't remember their own social security number.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
that's
no,
the stereotype. So
yeah, I got peer pressured into doing a fantasy league with old coworkers years ago. And yeah, fantasy football is literally just D&D.
right,
It's literally the same thing.
yeah, they want to call us nerds. And I'm just like, nah, sit down. But it's like, I didn't mean to come across as elitist from that, but it's like, yeah, I
I
don't
don't
want
think you did.
I don't want to be a gatekeeper because like I feel like the nerd community should be open to everybody. That's the thing. It's meant
Yeah.
to be fun, and it's like you often hear the whole thing of, oh, I hate the anime so mainstream now. It's like I grew up and I got made fun of for liking it. Then people can like it without getting persecuted, and people who made fun of me like the anime now. So I'm mad about that. It's like, all right, so I say meet in the middle. Don't be upset that anime is mainstream. But just because those people like anime now, that doesn't mean you have to be their friends. That's a matter of individuals. Not the
Yeah,
problem is not that anime is mainstream now. The problem
yeah,
is that
but
those people are hypocrites, and you don't have to associate with them anymore.
yeah, it's I don't think you were sounding elitist at all. I just think that it's very fair to say that it's just not something you're interested in, and it's a matter of, you would have liked to have seen more things that you cared about.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to say that they were lacking in like niche or nerdy content at all because they had a crap ton of stuff for Has Been Hotel, but I just don't care about Has Been Hotel, so that didn't really appeal to me. And that was like one of
Yeah,
the big
neither do
headlines
I,
they have.
and neither do I. I know a lot of people were excited about that, but that's a series where I get why it has appeal. I just don't find the art style to be very appealing at all. It's just not something I see myself engaging with.
Vincent asks, "How are you doing this? Are you resetting to
Oh,
the
took my
save, or
first
are you
death.
resetting the entire file?" No, I'm only resetting to the last save. I'm not pulling a Game Champ 3000, and if I get a hit, reset the entire thing. That would drive me insane. I would not do this. What I'm doing right now is, if I take a hit, I just reset to my last save. So after every battle, save. Like every RPG ever. So what I'm doing right now is grinding for more money because the way you get battle chips in this game is basically a gotcha, and I need money to get more chips to feel confident enough to try the next tournament again. I might actually change up my strategy slightly and equip a different character besides Proto-Man because normal Navi V2 has a slightly higher deck capacity, so I could put different chips in there and attempt a different layout. Because I have no doubt that I can get past Burnerman effortlessly now. It's Gutsman that I have to worry about. And I can stop one of Gutsman's attacks using a stun ability, but I have to worry about his slot in. I didn't tell you this earlier, CJ. You have this ability called slot in, where you can just plug in a battle chip at any given time if the custom gauge is at the right percentage. It fills up like 5% every turn. No, yeah, 5% every turn. And if you have 50%, you are almost guaranteed to get at least one slot in done correctly. And his slot in that does damage is guard breaking. So I have to worry about that. I have a battle chip that would block it, but I can't equip it as my slot in because the capacity is too high. So that's where I'm at right now. It's
Makes sense.
it's a matter of I need to be able to survive that one attack, and then it's just smooth sailing. All right, okay, now I've got enough money to roll the gotcha once more. But yeah, so I just really didn't do much this con, like the last couple of cons that I've gone to. I'm also considering restructuring how I do cosplay at like
Holy
this con
crap.
specifically, because everyone loves Darth Maul whenever I bust him out, but I didn't get nearly as many pictures of myself this time as I would have liked because the people who I would have had take pictures were busy, and like I found like 3 Obi-Wan Kenobis at different times, but I could only get a picture with one of them. And I did see an impressive Star Wars turnout. Like I saw at least 3 Anakins, at least 3 Padmes, and only 2 of them were like couples together. I saw at least 1 Ahsoka. I saw Sith Acolyte, Ezra Bridger, 3 Obi-Wans, and it was just I'm kind of impressed with the
Oh,
variety we
the
have here.
Thrawn as well.
Yeah, I got a picture. I think I got a picture with the Thrawn.
Yeah.
I don't think it was on my phone though. It might have been on my camera, but I haven't checked it. But yeah, that was cool because Star Wars Ahsoka was hit or miss depending on who you talk to, but it was enough of a hit that nerds were happy with it. So nerds who go to cons are happy with it at
Um,
least. All right,
Slight little tangent on what's happening in Fall of Cybertron right now.
good,
I I just took
Oh.
my first death because
good.
I I have a like orbital strike weapon right now, and I was able to use it to destroy a dropship. And but one guy got off the dropship before I was able to destroy it, and it was a shotgunner. And he runs up to me. I melee him. He doesn't die. He hits me with a shotgun. I melee him again. He still doesn't die, and he hits me with a shotgun again and kills me. And so on the second attempt, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep my distance from that shotgunner because obviously that would be insane to try to melee one of those guys up close. And then I have like 3 of them make it off the dropship and rush me, and I have a grenade launcher weapon that's extremely powerful. but they just shrug off these grenades like it's nothing. And so I've got three of these guys charging at me, and I end up firing the orbital strike weapon at point blank at them and having to haul ass away in my alt mode so I don't get destroyed. Um, yeah, there's definitely some interesting enemies in this game compared to the previous game for sure.
All right, I think I might have just gotten something that might get me past Gutsman. I don't know. I don't know if it could be broken. It's a counter battle chip. It's a poison mask. It does damage to all of their battle chips except the slot ins. So I don't know if this would work or not. It might. Hmm. Oh, what's its priority? Dropping things. I didn't mention this. I mentioned it last stream. My friend from back in like middle school. Yeah, he was my friend all throughout my school career. He actually gave me the strategy guide for this game, so I'm cross referencing it real quick for. Wait, what was the 30? Yeah, it's 30 megabytes. Dang it. All right, but what is the priority on this one? Poison mask. Here it is. It's got an A priority. That's good. And Guts Punch has. Where is it? Where is Guts Punch in this list right here? It must be further in. But yeah, so I'm sitting over here. Like,
Yeah, the kind of
there it is.
to
Guts
kind of
Punch
wrap
is
up
D
my
priority.
thoughts on Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I I had a good time. As far as like there not being anything to do at the con, I'm kind of just used to that now. Um, and because the last 2 years we did single day trips to the con. Um, and this was the first year since 2018 when I was there with you that I did a full weekend.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest course correction I want to say, like how we will like the correction of errors I can say we're going to plan for next year is either get there on Thursday or just do the Saturday only. I think getting there on Friday was a little bit of a mistake. It definitely disoriented us a little bit and meant we spent a lot less time in cosplay than we would have liked. Where we were only in really only in cosplay on Saturday, and that's out of 3 days.
Yeah.
So that was less than ideal. But that was just because it took so long to get into our room, so long to get checked in on Friday, and we got there pretty early. It just they were in no rush to make our room ready for us. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Bree is
yeah,
in the
I
chat
think
now.
huh?
Bree is in the chat now. Hey, Bree.
Yay. But yeah, like I said, I think next year we're either going to, or at least my recommendation, and I'll talk to the girls about this, is either get there on Thursday or just do the Saturday only. Because I think getting there on Friday, it made for like a very poor Friday for like a 5 out of 10 Friday, and like a 8 out of 10 Saturday.
Yeah.
But then the con's practically over at that point, so it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Um, we had the one thing that we do like about it is that, you know, we've been doing cons for so long now, and they're so exhausting that having the kind of full schedules that we do at like AWA, Dragon Con, and MomoCon, it can just take a lot out of you. And sometimes you just want to chill out with your friends, because that's honestly the best part about a lot of cons is just the time you get to spend with your friends. And a lot of times you don't get those meaningful moments where you get to talk to them for hours and hours at bigger cons, because everybody has a schedule they're trying to keep up with. And so the smaller cons really allow for that. And just the amount of times we got to catch up and chat at the con shows how, you know, laid back Comic-Con can be. And so even if there's nothing really to do at the con, it's still a nice small con that allows us to meet new people, you know, really talk to people and make new friends and do some tabletop gaming. This was the very first con in a long time that we did. We actually went in the game room and played video games. We almost never do that because we're too busy. And let's face it, we have plenty of games that we own in our personal collection. Why would we bother to play games at a con?
Yeah.
but like there was cool arcade machines and stuff we played there because we had nothing else to do, and it was kind of nice. And then Jonathan, and the girls in the hotel room just hanging out and playing what is it? What do you meme? The
Yeah.
meme version of Cards Against Humanity. Um, Jonathan reminded me of it here a moment ago because there were two moments where
Smash.
in my tired delirium that I almost died from lack of oxygen because I was laughing and crying so hard at the dumbest jokes. They were both his fault. Uh, and
Did you say the exact same thing happened at AWA, but you were playing Quiplash instead?
yes, I
Smash.
laughed harder than I ever have laughed in my life at both those cons at just the dumbest things. And um side note, in Fall of Cybertron we have just awakened Metroplex,
Oh,
who
yes.
is beautifully rendered in this game. He is a big chungus, and now I have artillery support from him.
Take out those warp cannons. Um. Oh. Sosmog says, I made a mistake. Whoops. Sosmog says he hates this little game that he found. He's gonna see if he can get Doom to run on it.
Oh, if you get Doom to run on the educational system.
Do it. Do it. Bree sends her condolences about the room. We played DDR. So Isaac says he hasn't gone to a con, but he'd like to if he ever could. I typically recommend Con Life. I think I might change up how I do my cosplays for Kami next year because the big costumes are fun, but they're kind of exhausting. So unless it's like a bigger con to where I feel like I'm going to get the most out of it, I feel like I should just stick with something a little bit smaller. Let me edit my deck, make sure. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Turbo Man's going down. I got 2 heat balloons. I don't even think he's going to be able to touch me.
Yeah,
not his best attacks, at least.
Whether or not you bring a large or cumbersome cosplay kind of just depends on how easily you can access your hotel room. Because at least with Comic-Con, the attendance was small enough to where you don't have to worry about being like shoulder to shoulder with people trying to get through the hallway to get into the hotel or into the convention center. So it's not like Dragon Con, where if you bring a large and cumbersome cosplay, it might get damaged just by virtue of you trying to navigate through the crowds.
Yeah, and remember at the Super Happy Fun sale at AWA, I literally stood in place for 10 minutes because the line could not move forward or backward.
Yeah.
I was just stuck in the middle of the room, shoulder to shoulder with people, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I got to dodge the one time I wanted to take the hit. He used his most powerful attack, which would have given me a bunch of fire damage onto the counterattack balloon, which would have just absorbed the damage and just thrown it right back at him for free. But no, I had to dodge it this one time. Shotgun. No, not a lot of damage. Attack my deck, though. Oh, that's not pretty.
I love that. A side note about Fall of Cybertron. I love that Prime can bash enemies with his alt mode in this game.
Yeah.
Just like in the G1 movie.
Yeah, in Devastation. Yes. Literally just steamroll over this army of, space robots. Just roadkill, splatter spree, vehicular manslaughter, Sunday driver.
Also, I have a really dumb joke in mind for this level where you play as Prime in this game for the script. I've been sitting on this idea for like a year and a half now because of how long this series has taken to make. But this level, when in the script, I'm gonna be constantly referencing the lyrics of "The Touch" by Stan Bush.
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
Like whenever I'll be like, we fight these brute enemies here. And they're really strong in close range, but luckily you're at your best when your back's to the wall, and just like stuff like that.
Not even gonna lie, this is probably spoilers, and I hope that, but when I say this, people will forget about it by the time it actually eventually happens. I really want to do a review of the game called Dragon Force. You know, it's like a Sega Dreamcast PlayStation thing. I want to do a review of that game, but I'll pepper it all throughout it whenever I play it. I haven't even played the game yet. I don't even know what it's about. But I want to be able to pepper in just random Dragon Force lyrics and song title drops, and just make all the jokes from Dragon Force the game being referenced with Dragon Force the band, because that's my favorite band.
Yeah,
I want to do something stupid like that.
You have to do that.
Oh, Guts Punch
Like,
will destroy Curse Shield, but will it break? Will it break Poison Mask? Probably. Let's try it anyway.
I'll have another one that's like, oh yeah, in this area you're surrounded by enemies, but when all hell's breaking loose, you'll be right in the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
And just so on and so on. Also, the X12 Scrapmaker weapon from War for Cybertron is now upgraded to the X18 Scrapmaker in this game, and it makes one of the coolest sound effects of any video game weapon ever. I guess I'll have to wait until I record the Xbox 360 playthrough to get a good, clean recording of how it sounds.
I goofed.
What happened?
I forgot to equip one other specific battle chip in my folder. Alright, so we'll see how this goes. Let's see if Poison Mask can counter... Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
Put
Michelle's
that-
home.
Let me do some math
I love
real
how
quick.
Metroplex has these mortars, and yet he insists on beating up the warp cannons with his bare hands. I guess that's just cooler.
Alright, yeah,
Still there?
let's just run it.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I'm pausing to take stock in what I have and to see if this can get past Gutsman. This is one of the few times he's actually a challenge. Ideally, when I was rolling the gotcha, I would have gotten some more mag bombs, but I didn't. It's another stun weapon, which while it does less damage, it has a high priority and it costs less than some of the other ones I have available. How much HP does Gutsman have? 600. Okay. So, honestly, if I can knock him out before he knocks me out, or before he hits me, that would be ideal. Alright, I'm trying... Okay. You start with 0. He's likely going to throw his slot in around 55 or 60%. So let's see. 5% every turn. Or 5% every action. 10 actions. You get 3 actions a turn. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30... 45. Basically at the start of turn 3, I think. No? Where I place barrier in my command deck is very important. I could just make note of when he uses Guts Punch and then just try to have it positioned there. That probably would work. Alright, let's go. One thing that I'm slightly salty about was Comic-Con has been trying to do less fan-based panels. They will still accept some, but the reason for doing fewer fan panels is that there have been times when the person who was supposed to do the panel just didn't show up, so they just had a gap in the schedule, so they had to get someone who worked at the con to actually get in there and kill time until the panel was over. Oh, this is not a good chip to use. I should not have equipped that.
But what took its place in lieu of the fan panels?
They still have fan panels occasionally, but it's like I'm slightly salty because I submitted my MegaMan panel, which went over very well at AWA, and it's like that got rejected. It's not the fact that it got rejected, but seeing what else got in. There was like a Scott Pilgrim fan panel, and trying to read that description, like the description looked like it was written by a middle schooler typing it from their phone with no punctuation, misuse of words that sound the same. Is like, you think you know Scott Pilgrim, but it said you think UNO instead of KNOW. There was no
Oh
punctuation,
no.
and I'm like, that panel got in, but my pristinely presented panel over here did not. And it's like, I get that Scott Pilgrim is more topical because the TV show just came out on Netflix or whatever, and I think the video game semi recently got re-released, so it's more topical, yes. But it's like, where's the quality control with who is submitting these panels? Because clearly that's not an issue. Clearly it wasn't a thing of, oh, you didn't sound professional enough. I was like, because if that gets in, where are your standards?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that because
Like, that
um
might be mean, but it's
this
like, come on here. I mean, you'd think the same thing if you read that, right? If you got rejected and you read that on the schedule, you're like, ugh.
yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't I've hosted panels at Comic-Con a few times because there was the very 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 first Fate panel we ever did was in 2013 at Comic-Con.
Yes.
And the um in 2018 I hosted both a Fate panel and a Fire Emblem panel there. um I would think that a con like that would need as much people submitting content as possible.
Right.
But then again, I mean, I've had panels get denied for AWA and stuff that have previously been approved, and they just didn't approve it the second time around. Like in 2019, we had the Fate panel, and I had a Fire Emblem panel and a Yu-Gi-Oh panel, and the uh, the Yu-Gi-Oh panel did not get accepted in 2021. So I did have the Zoids panel in 2021. So I don't know. It's just it seems like it's there might be some opinions and bias there on behalf of the staff.
Yeah, it is possible. Were there other fan panels, or is that the only one? No, there were others. There are definitely others. Like, I don't think a con can actually completely function without some type of fan panel. At least not these kind of cons, not at the size they are.
The two panels that we did go to were quite good. They were
Yeah, like,
we went to them because we just wanted to see how cursed they were.
yeah, like one of them was
They,
the Battle of the Himbos or something like that. That has to be fan submitted. There's no way that that was like sure the con could have put it on, but it's like I don't even know what they classify as fan panels. Like, Kami has far less fan panels and more concerts. Yeah, I don't really care about most of the concerts though. That's the thing.
so I think the difference between a fan panel and not a fan panel is a fan panel versus an industry panel. So does it have like an industry guest on it?
I'm gonna guess Disney wasn't there talking about their own himbos. So
No, although that would have been quite funny. But this was also the very first panel in the morning on Sunday, so there wasn't jack shit going on during that time slot. And the same thing with the other panel we went to, which was an 18 plus panel at night. So there literally was like nothing going on at the time that this panel took place. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if certain panels weren't accepted because the time slots that they were submitted for was too rigid, or for yours did you just put any time?
I honestly don't remember when I said the time slots that I'd be available for. I think I said I prefer to have it on Friday. That's typically when I like to have my panels. But it's like, I also wasn't told what the time allotment would be. I was not going to have the net battles in at this time like I did previously, simply because I don't have any more prizes to give. I have to wait and save up and get more prizes. But that's pretty much all I remember about that. I don't really know what the time slots were. What two panels did you go to? Is Bree is asking. I know he went to the they're like comparing anime himbos versus Disney himbos or something like that. And what was the other one?
Yeah. So that was that was the one on Sunday morning. I managed to tell her about that one before we left. But the other one we went to was a bad fan fiction reading, a bad 18 plus fan fiction reading.
No, thank you.
At
I get that on YouTube.
what?
No, thank you. I can find that on YouTube.
Well, sort of. This is some of them were pretty sexually explicit, so
I have suffered all
some
the
of
way
them you
through
can
my
find on
immortal.
YouTube, some of them you can't.
I suffered all the way through my immortal. You cannot show me anything that will shake me in terms of fanfiction.
Oh yeah, My Immortal is definitely like
The golden
the
standard of cursed fanfiction.
yeah, it is the bad yardstick. Like it is essentially the worst one you could go with. And so what they did for that fan fiction was they had members of the audience um uh read that one. So the guy hosting the panel had little printed out cards with various miscellaneous lines from the um from the fan fiction printed out, and he would hand them to like people in the audience would line up on the stage and take turns reading out various lines from it. And some of them did pretty good, but the he showed a couple videos. He showed a video of a bad like self-insert OC Lord of the Rings one where the OC is dating Legolas. And then there was one that was a Zelda one from around the time that like from like 1999 when like Ocarina of Time was like brand new. And they again it took him out of death. How about that? um they it was a erotic self-insert fan fiction with the main character and Link.
Oh,
And
yeah. I thought you were gonna say with Ganondorf.
oh, I mean that wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
I'm like, Dorf got them shoulders though, you know. I mean, you seen Terminal Montage? Suavemente.
Oh my god, yeah. I laugh at that whenever I see it.
I love how the internet. I love how everyone on the internet who has seen that video collectively agrees that that's canon to Ganondorf now. It's Ganon canon.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me otherwise. Suavemente.
Photon burst rifle. Anyway,
Positron laser.
So he got two members of the audience to read this bad Zelda fanfic, and he picked them out at random. But I was like, I would not be surprised if they were like planted there by him. But I guess they volunteered because they were going to be confident in what they were reading. They did such a good job with the material. Like that is pretty much unreadable material. They sounded so professional, and they kept their composure while the entire audience is like crying, laughing at them. And I'm like, that would be my thing. Is like I could read it, but I would not be able to keep my composure with everybody in the audience laughing like that.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
He also had a very fair and moderate approach to it, which is like, you know, not to make fun of artists and writers that are genuinely trying and like trying to make art. And everybody has a phase where they were cringy, you know, like everybody has that phase. So he wasn't trying to be like a bully and make fun of, bad fan fiction where the writers it was young or inexperienced or genuinely trying. But like in the case of My Immortal, that person was so indignant the entire time. Whenever they got feedback, they just wholesale rejected it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, that's not how to have a healthy outlook when it comes to feedback, especially when you're making something that is so easily criticized. Side note about Fall of Cybertron here. I am genuinely surprised sometimes that this game was made with Unreal Engine 3. Because the amount of things they're able to do with it and for it to run as well as it does compared to like even War for Cybertron or some of the other Unreal 3 games, it's impressive. Like the way that the scale of like Metroplex and how he moves and everything, it's like jaw-droppingly cool. Like this game has some really awesome set pieces, which I think helps with some of its like mainstream appeal. You know, Transformers fans were obviously going to eat it up regardless. And I know I sure did, but like even critics, like regular critics, were like, "Yeah, okay, this game is pretty cool."
Have you gotten to the part where you fight Megatron yet?
I am coming up on that right now. We're about to run into pre-time skip Megatron.
That moment is so glorious.
Yeah, we're about to come up on it now.
Oh
Um,
boy, here we go. Sir Isaac asks, "Dare I ask what My Immortal is?" Oh boy.
okay, I'm so glad you asked. So, do you want me to go for it?
Let me take this one because I I don't know how I would describe my relationship with this fanfic. It's a thing of I used to watch Some Ordinary Gamers a lot, and he did like the full reading with him and his buddies, so I kept up with it. And if you watch my Fake Collide Liner reviews, I will often cite My Immortal as a comparison piece to Fake Collide Liner because I see so many similarities between them. That's why I say, oh, it's a bad fanfiction because it's got all the same tropes, or it's got so many. I actually do like a bulleted list in one of my videos. Okay, so Sir Isaac, Bree actually says that she would rather hear you explain it, CJ, like as well. So, all right, I'll let you take it then, upon
Okay.
Bree's request, because she's heard me talk about it
So,
enough. So,
My Immortal
I,
is a serial fan fiction in which the author has written a Mary Sue self-insert goth OC who exists alongside the other characters in the Harry Potter novels. So it's a Harry Potter fan fiction. And
I will correct one point. It's specifically the movie. She did state she has never read the books, so it's the movie
oh god,
specifically, and that's worse.
yeah, that's a good distinction. Um, so it's a Harry Potter movie fan fiction in which the gothic self-insert OC dates and has much sex with both Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter,
Literally
who are
everybody.
both bisexual and vampires in this continuity. And Harry Potter is not actually referred to as Harry Potter; he's just referred to as vampire.
And that naming trend would continue. Literally every character except Draco pretty much got a new edgy gothic sounding name to replace what the original name was. It's like Hermione was renamed Bloody Mary, Neville was renamed what was it? One of the characters was renamed Hades, and another character's name was just flat out Darkness. And I'm just like, you need to come up
Oh
with
yeah,
something better.
the protagonist's name is, and I quote, I hope I can get this in one take,
Here we
is
go.
uh, Ebony Darkness Dimension Ravenway, and but the author cannot spell her own OC's name consistently every time. So the character's name is Ebony, but the author will often spell it Enobi. Like they'll
Correct.
swap where the N and the B are. And so that makes for some absolutely hilarious line readings later in the later on in like the later chapters, especially during this panel where they're like, "Oh, Enobi," and it's
Right.
like they're like reading it out loud because that's exactly how it's written.
Right.
And this fan fiction is wrought with spelling errors, grammar mistakes, absolutely nonsensical
Continuity errors.
descriptions of events. It will randomly break out of the diegesis of the narrative to
Describe what the
explain
characters are
things
wearing.
outside of the narrative, like if so like god, it defies description.
I got this one.
Dumbledore is also like inexplicably gothic in this, and the author will like break character to be like, oh, he looks like this because he's a goth and stuff like
Yes.
that. Or
There's
the author will
also
frequently like break character to be like, stop flaming everybody. If you flame, then you're a prep. And like every single other female character, such as Hermione in the story, is basically written off as like, oh, they're a bad person. They did a bunch of bad things, so they don't matter anyway. And they do that as like a, oh, no other female can be in this story to have the attention of the two main boys that I like, so that my main character can get all of their attention. Like they hate other. They and they're so, you can tell they're like a 12-year-old too, because they're so married to the whole goth ID that their condemnation of these other girl characters is, oh well, they're preps, so they're bad. And it's yeah, it's like I would say that it is the kind of thing that a 12-year-old would write, but um
it was a
I
several
knew
year
Harry
process
Potter
though.
fans when they were 12 and they could write something better than this.
Another thing
In
that
fact, I'm sure I have friends that did write better Harry Potter fan fiction when they were 12.
right. I think it's really funny on my chat over here, Master Chief Snake. Like right as we started explaining what My Immortal was, they said, "All right, I'm back." They walked in right as we were given the breakdown of what this was.
Wow.
Perfect
Oh
timing,
god.
Chief. Another thing that it did at least a couple times was it would break flow to address the reader directly and tell them to hand wave inconsistencies. Like the story takes place in some time period. Like there's one point where they go back in time to like the 70s or 80s, and they make mention one character singing "Welcome to the Black Parade" by My Chemical Romance, and the author makes a little note right there saying, "I know this song's not from the 80s, but just pretend it is, okay?" And it's like that's another thing that's one of the comparison points I had for Prisma Ilia, because the author said in regards to Fate lore, if something is different between Prisma Ilia, don't talk about it, don't mention it. I was like, oh, so you want us to hand wave your bad fanfiction the same way that My Immortal wants us to. So that's the reason I had so much ire for it back during my reviews, because I was coming off of having experienced that bit of literary cancer, and I'm drawing correlations with what was my current hyperfocus, the Fate franchise, and it's like I sincerely feel like it was a bad fan fiction that got picked up for official publication. And Sir Isaac says, "I'm gonna stab my ears out now." It is indeed quite cursed, very cursed.
And it's funny too cuz like My Chemical Romance not that I'm like a huge fan or anything, but they exist explicitly in the context of the early 2000s because what is his name, Gerard Way,
Yes.
founded the band because he has literally came out and said this. He founded the band because he was depressed about 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, so would be very awkward for it to take place any other time in history. Also, Metroplex is about to
Yes. Do it. Do it. Do it.
do his thing. He literally just like delicately peels the roof of this building off.
He's about to make some pancakes.
Yeah, and then like just the most aggressive punch ever. Like he goes from being so delicate to being like, I'm going to just absolutely
Press the B button to
squash Megatron.
press the B button to destroy Megatron. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
It takes him like 4 punches before the rest of the Decepticons are like, oh wow, that really just happened just now.
You gotta make sure, man. You gotta make sure.
I also love
give
this
Megatron
scene
credit.
in the
Give
yeah, this
Megatron
scene
credit.
in the
He actually.
context of
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. This scene in the context of War for Cybertron is great too because there wasn't a established rivalry between Prime and Megatron until War for Cybertron was like halfway through, and by that time, Optimus is like a real thorn in Megatron's side. Like he really hates him, and so it's like you have the little bit of on-screen rivalry they have in that game combined with presumably like however many weeks or months or years it's been since that game, which I don't know if it's exactly stated how long it's been since that game, but like when Megatron finally gets Prime in his clutches there, you can tell he's like pissed. He's like, finally, I've been trying to catch you guys for 3 weeks now, and now I've got you right where I want you. I'm gonna get my ass killed.
I'd like to buy all your chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Bree says B. Bree presses the B button.
Yeah. Which I guess it's kind of cool that they acknowledge why Megatron is a redesign. It's never explained why Prime has a redesign. It just does. Yeah, I'm really excited about the video for this game though because I have, unlike the Dark of the Moon game, which I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit like sleepwalking my way through the video because it's the worst game in the out of all of them that I've played so far. It's not bad, but it's just mediocre and half finished.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas this game is like in a lot of ways the best video game to ever have the Transformers name on it. But it's not strictly like it's not in every aspect objectively better than War for Cybertron. There are things that War for Cybertron does that are better than this game, and that's the thing I can't wait to talk about is like how they're different and what makes each one worth revisiting over the other.
Vincent asks if I saw the calculations he put in the chat. Yes, I did. I just didn't want to interrupt CJ while I was talking. Thank you for these. Calculations and the for the order of chip selection: 50% for 1A and for 1B, and then 2B. 37.5% for 3B, 3C. 25% for 2A, 2C. 12% for 3A and 3D. So that means I could try to center my chips around the probabilities here.
I'm probably going to go ahead and cut off my stream as well. I'll still hang out with you for a minute here, but I just want to take a break from the game for a little bit.
Yeah. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to roll the gotcha one more time, and I'm going to give Gutsman one more attempt, and then I'm going to call it a night because we're approaching the 2-hour mark. And I still got some stuff to do to get ready for tomorrow. Because, I got to work in the morning. But not a lot of progress today, but I did get some good battle chips. I just didn't quite get the ones I needed yet. I need mag bombs. I'm not going to say they'll completely turn the tide, but it will help. Megabyte... wait, so the MB movies made way for decent games, I see. Oh, MB, Michael Bay. Over on his YouTube channel, Starcross Souls, he's got some reviews of 2 of the Bayverse movie game tie-ins at the moment, and it was Revenge of the Fallen, I think you said, was a craptastic movie, but was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, so I'm doing a Transformers game retrospective, starting with the 2004 Armada game and ending with Devastation. And so far I've gone through the Armada game, the first movie game, the second movie game, and War for Cybertron, and the Dark of the Moon game is on its way. That's why I'm getting footage for Fall of Cybertron. And yeah, it's interesting because the movie tie-in games for the first 2 movies are your kind of standard run-of-the-mill movie-based games. Whereas the Dark of the Moon game is just War for Cybertron with a different coat of paint. But it has some interesting design decisions that are kind of a consequence of shoving it into the Bayverse.
Yeah.
But the Revenge of the Fallen game was given to a very competent studio, a studio that has made some critically acclaimed games. It's just another studio that, like, if you're not making like billions of dollars in sales, you're going to get it's an Activision studio, so they get sent off to the Call of Duty mines.
Yeah. Go to Gulag.
Which is really funny considering that is also what happened to High Moon Studios. And Raven Software, and the studio that made the Tony Hawk games, and the studio that made the Guitar Hero games, although it might be the same studio. I don't remember.
Naughty Dog, I think. Are they the ones who did Tony Hawk?
No, Naughty Dog is a Sony first-party studio. They made the
Crash Bandicoot games.
Yeah, Crash, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, and Last of Us.
Excuse me. I'm not going to say it's smooth sailing if I can get past Gutsman, but if I can get past this first bracket of tournaments, I'll have the ability to gain better chips, because there's something of an exploit I can do to where you can punch in some codes and gain the ability to battle like preset navis with specific chip drops, and I can farm for better chips that way. I would like to keep that as a last resort kind of thing, though, because while it's not a cheat code per se, you have to take the time to make the code. Like, if you were to get it legitimately. So it is doable. Oh, Neversoft did Tony Hawk. That's right. They also did at least one of the Guitar Hero games. I remember that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I'm
yes,
pretty
so,
sure it's the same studio that made the Tony Hawk games and made all of the Guitar Hero games. But when they stopped being profitable, they got sent to the Call of Duty mines.
yeah. But yeah, so the exploit will allow me to get some better battle chips for down the road, but I have to get past this first bracket of 3 tournaments before I can access that menu option. So Gutsman is really proving to be quite the obstacle. And again, he's not that hard to defeat. It's just a matter of doing it without taking damage. And it just so happens that he is the second, like, I call him boss enemy in the game. Like, he's the final opponent of that particular tournament. Alright. Gotta throw the gotcha. I'm gonna have to play one more single round before I try to go fight Gutsman again. Alright. Please give me a mag bomb. Elect Blade, that's cool. Satellite, Kunai, Rimobit, Wind, Tree Bomb, Spice, Raton, Heat Balloon, Candle. Dang it. Alright, have a good night, Master Chief Snake. See you later. Oh, Sosmog is asking, it's hard to get ROMs when to play like the Battle Never patch for 4.5. That was definitely worth playing. As for whether or not it's hard, well, I can't really discuss that on a live stream right now because there's sailing the seven seas is kind of frowned upon when it comes to this this type of content. Might discuss that. Nah. Nah. Don't edit the deck. Yeah. So I'm gonna beat up this normal Navi, and then get his money, then go fight Gutsman one more time, and then win or lose, gonna call it a night. Oh, Sosmog sent me a picture of that educational game from the YouTube channel. Or he sent it to me on Discord. Let me see. Let's see. Waiting for a picture. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, Vincent, and hope to see you next time. And best of luck. Best of luck with your homework. Ah, dang it. I don't think I saved. How much money do I have? Nah, I forgot to save after getting that money. Oh well. Doesn't matter because I didn't get what I wanted anyway, so it's my bad for forgetting to save. Alright, let's go give Gutsman one more try. No, wait, stop. Let me tweak my folder a little bit. Let me double check, make sure I have everything I need before I go in. No, not the command deck. Go to the folder. Okay. Let's see. Get the poison mask out of here. It's not going to do me any good. Element. My disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined. Oh boy.
All right, review, bro.
Yeah. I don't even watch their content. I just think that quote is funny.
I would actually recommend it. He is addicting in this like captivating way because there's something so undeniably awkward about his delivery. Like it's just great.
Let me check something real quick. Rockman EXE Zone Battle Chip Challenge. I think I remember reading something on the Rockman EXE Zone that said that there's a glitch with a specific chip that makes it have the opposite effect. And if that's the case, okay, that increases my dodge rate. What's the hit probability of... what's the hit probability of Guts Punch? Like, does it have an accuracy on here? Or does it matter? Accuracy is B. Ooh. And what's Proto-Man's dodging abilities? There's a character stat sheet. Oh wait, that would be towards the back with the Navi chips. Here we go. Alright. Proto-Man, there we are. Dodging is B. So if my dodging goes up to A, theoretically, that means I should be able to dodge Guts Punch if I have... I think it might be worth a try. Alright, let's see. Barrier, leaf shield.
I'm working on this. I think I told you I'm working on this link tree thing for all the different cosplay groups.
It's okay, Sosmog. You don't need to apologize. Let me see what this this educational game is. Oh wow, Mobigo. That is the VTech.
Oh,
Mobigo.
is it the?
It's a little
the
tiny
cursed
handheld
educational
thing.
console.
Yeah, the little tiny handheld thing. It looks like barely looks stronger than a Tiger Electronic from the looks of things. Yeah, see if you can get Doom running on it. Let us know.
I bet you can. Post it in Discord whenever you get a chance. I want to see it.
All right. Okay, I don't need 3 zap rings. I only need 2. So now, before we go in sword swinging, let's swap out Proto-Man for normal Navi V2. Let me see what I can do here.
All right, I am gonna jump off of here for tonight, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with me and being here on the stream. And yeah, we'll be in touch. So
Yeah, it was fun. You guys have a good stream and enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah. Have a good night, buddy.
Bye bye.
Later. All right, he is gone. Trav guy. I have not. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I'll pop over and check out his videos after we're done here. Whew, this is risky. Let me take a look at Gutsman's folder layout again. Unfortunately, my megabytes for slot-ins do not increase when I change navies. It only does with level ups and completing tournaments. Okay. That's not going to help. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's see. All right, what is the priority of fan? It has a priority. That is higher than Guts Punch, so I'm going to put fan as my slot in rather than in the command deck. And I'll remove guard and put Leaf Shield in its place. Leaf Shield and Barrier are basically the same thing, except Leaf Shield is Wood Element. Okay. This is the layout that I'm going to try to use against Gutsman. But I got to get to Gutsman first. And I should have saved with the chips that I put in the folder. Okay. Let's do that again. Alright, here we go. Last attempt for the night. Yeah, this guy is clearly in his 30s as a grade schooler. Alright, it's round 1. Turbo Man shouldn't be too much trouble. Did I get Aqua Blade, like, during any of those gotcha pulls? I don't think it matters. I don't think Turbo Man's actually fire elemented, is he? No. He's neutral element, but his attacks are fire element. Thank you for the free attack power. Oh, you jerk. That doesn't matter because it still has all that stored attack power, even if it misses. So when it does hit you, it's going to do a lot of damage. There we go. There goes Turbo Man. Alright. Alright. Yeah, makes sense because Proto Man EXE clearly took heavy inspiration from Zero. Alright. I feel like this is the best I'm going to be able to do until I get some more mag bombs, because if I could get a mag bomb, I could put 2 of them here instead of having just 1 zap ring. And then I could pad out my folder pretty well otherwise. Alright, so my plan is... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot to take into account what's normal Navi V2's dodge rate. Glad I checked that before we started. Alright. Proto Man's dodge rate is B. What's normal Navi V2's? Because that could potentially undo everything. Normal Navi V2 dodge rate is a C. Alright. No, not going to work. Not going to work. Let's rearrange. Okay. Nope. Back to Proto Man. Gotta have better dodging. I'm just going to have to gamble it. There's no other option here currently except to gamble that Fan will make my dodge rate high enough to where I can avoid Guts Punch. Slot in at the same time, that's going to be the only option here. Because just looking at the guide, Proto Man's dodging is roughly on par with Guts Punch's accuracy. If I have a stun battle chip, you know, if I'm guaranteed a stun chip every turn, like the way I have it set up, then he'll never use Guts Hammer. I just have to dodge Guts Punch. And my Sonic Booms will slowly but surely whittle down his chip folder. That did a lot of damage. I wonder if I could even get that far. Please take out his aim cannon. Oh. Alright. Turning off the autoplay because I want to watch this one. Gonna wait for him to call for a slot in. The slot in failed. If I'm going to win, this is going to be my best chance. No! Please dodge, please dodge, please dodge. No. The balloon popped too soon. Because of that Mega Cannon. That wasn't a bad idea, though. The slot-in failure is something I hadn't taken into account because it hasn't failed before. The Mega Cannon does pack a wallop, though. But there's no other option. I have to have stun battle chips out there to prevent him from using Guts Hammer. However, I will not complete this match because I took too many hits. By too many, I mean I took one hit and more. Well, that's what we're going to call tonight. So we'll come back next time, and the pieces are there. Just have to see how they fit together. I have a feeling that we're close. The Mega Cannons being a bigger problem than I thought it was going to be. I think I might need to restructure my battle chips to attack the first slot specifically and take care of that Mega Cannon before it can become too big of a problem. But we'll find out next time. Thank you all for hanging out and being here for this Snorefest of the grind and chatting with us while we talked about everything from conventions to bad fan fictions. And we'll catch you next time. Hopefully roughly same time next week. All right, peace out, everybody.